wings come out of that dry shell, and a body come out of that dry shell. And before you know it, there was like two of them. One was just a dry shell, and the other one was this beautiful four-winged creature that was sitting on a lily pad. And all of a sudden he had this instinct to just move those wings, and he moved those wings, and he flew, and for the first time he was flying around that pond, and while he's flying around the pond, he's looking down, and here's all his friends there. Where'd he go? Where'd he go? So he said, I got to tell him. I made a deal with him. So he came down, and he flew down into the water, and he bounced off of the surface tension and couldn't do it. He says, I can't tell him. See, and that's what happens with our loved ones. With our loved ones, when our little one who we never spoke to or saw, when our loved one left, she dried out and she went into another life, and she became like a dragonfly and flew a new life, like I would have to wait someday in order to be able to feel and experience, and could never come back to tell me what it was like. See, they can't tell us. They can't come back. But yet they're alive, and they're very much alive, and life is going on. And I will see them again. We need to build bridges between them and us, and tell the stories of what life was like with them. What was it like? What did we do? Memorialize the person, memorialize the loss that you have. Now, how do we grieve over the death of Jesus? Well, we celebrate his life, don't we? That's what Christmas is all about. That's what Easter is all about, right? We celebrate the resurrection. We celebrate the beautiful things that we attach ourselves to, that we know have something to do with life after death. See, it is very valuable for us who are into that, feeling that. We're light, we're salt, we're living, we're alive, and we're going to see every one of our loved ones that went on ahead of us. Celebrate. Heaven is a real place. Begin to relate to a new normal in your life, one day at a time. By the way, don't burden yourself with unrealistic expectations. Let God lead, not your family and friends. Oh, I'm going to get over it. Yeah. Oh, okay, I'm going to do that. Don't do that. Don't burden yourself with that. Let God guide you. Let God heal you. Let God take you on to the next step within your life. Family and friends, even though they mean well, sometimes they can hurt you by trying to push you. Reinvest your life. With Job, so the Lord blessed the latter end of Job more than his beginning. Bring hope to others, again, who comforted us in all our tribulation, that we may be able to comfort them which are in any trouble by the comfort wherewith we ourselves are comforted by God. You look on your internet, and you will find out the people who wrote or make the sites on miscarriages and on losses and on death, and you will probably find out most of them were people who have had that loss and known that loss, and have found out that there is a way for me to recover from my loss. And here's a grief recovery nugget. Allow yourself grief slips, or times when your faith level goes down. It'll come back. Here's a saying again, and I couldn't get who said it. Death leaves a heartache no one can heal. Love leaves a memory no one can steal. And I love that. I wish I could tell you who wrote that, but I don't know. Life will never be the same, but it can be very, very good. You'll find a new normal in your life. This fella always wanted to climb this mountain. All his life he wanted to climb a mountain. So finally one day he made it to the top of this mountain. And he was so thrilled, and he was so overwhelmed by the view and everything, and so glad that he took all the energy and preparation to do it. He was so thrilled with it, but then he realized that it was getting dark, and he couldn't get down the mountain. So he knew he had to stay on the top of that mountain for the night. Well, when he looked over to the side, he realized he doesn't have much of a place to stay on. There was a big rock, a little place to stand, and then a rather unsettled a group of rocks and dirt and stuff like that up above him. And he said, you know, it'd be just my luck that during the night that's going to give way and it's going to knock me off of this cliff here and I'm going to be in big trouble. So he says, I'm going to tie my rope around that big rock. So he tied a rope around the rock, tied the rope around his waist, and tried the best he could to sleep that night. Well, sure enough, he heard a rumble, and all of a sudden, that rock mass let go and knocked him off of that cliff. And there he was, dangling in the middle of the night on the end of a rope. Well, of course, when you have a problem, what do? Well, you go see God. And he says, now God, you see the situation I'm in here? I'm hanging off a rope and can't go up, can't go down. What am I going to do, God? And God says, cut the rope. No, God, you got me wrong. I said, I can't fly, and I can't go up, or I can't go down, and I can't do anything to help myself. What do you really want me to do, God? And God said, cut the rope. Well, 2 weeks later, a search party finally found that man, frozen solid, on the end of a rope, that far from the ground. See, what holds me to my fears and what holds me to my terrible thoughts and what holds me to my lack of faith. See, there's sometimes things that hold us. And what does God say? The only one time in Scripture he tells me to work real hard to do anything. And that's in Hebrews chapter 4, where he says, strive earnestly to enter my rest. Because he who is rested is ceased from his own labors. Let God take care. Let God have it. Let him have it. Rest assured, and I hope what I wanted to convince you of more than anything else is the fact that he is going to get you through. And you are going to make it because he's going to make sure. Part of the way you're going to know that, share that with someone else, is that you're here today. Why are you here today? Well, because somewhere years ago, someone's prepared a little fat guy to be able to share something that maybe you need to hear. And number one, you need to hear God saying to you, I love you. I love you. I want to go through this with you. I want to help you heal. I want to help you be strong. We're going to get this through because I'm going to help you through. Okay, let's take a 10-minute break. Okay, can we do that? Christians never get any information as to how to help our children. And the worst thing we can do is to forget that our children grieve too. Wow, that's such a big thing to me because I've seen that. It's a great danger to forget that our children grieve too. And it's worse to not allow them to express their feelings. They need Jesus' love just as much as I do. So if I stopped there, I would have told you what I wanted to tell you. That's what I wanted to tell you. Let kids have an opportunity to express themselves. Because we can think that I've hurt so much, but our children grieve too. And oftentimes, our children get our signals as to how they're supposed to grieve by watching us. And if mommy's crying all the time, then I should be crying all the time. If daddy's being the big tough guy or being noisy, maybe that's what I should do, our sons think. See? But we've got to tap into their lives and into their feelings. And to do that, I wrote a book because I've done some artwork, and I wrote a book which is focused around artwork that you can work with your kids. Because I think one of the ways that kids can express themselves the best is through artwork. Just drawing something silly, see, or what have you. But I think it's a great need. Someone says this: the young or Jeremiah said, the young, their souls